Good morning everybody and welcome back to VG Myths, the online internet video game TV show that always settles for mediocrity. Ratchet & Clank Size Matters is the first and worst game in the Ratchet & Clank PSP trilogy, featuring all the same gameplay you know and love without any of the pesky game design. Unfortunately, I made a pledge to do a challenge run of every game in the series, and turns out Size Matters is technically legally a video game. Can you beat Ratchet & Clank Size Matters with only the wrench? The rules are simple. We must play the game from a new save file to the end credits without ever using any of the weapons found in the weapons menu. Anything not in the weapons menu, such as gadgets and vehicle weaponry, are allowed. However, as an unofficial bonus challenge, I'll at least be attempting to avoid using those as much as possible. For the majority of the game, we'll be limited only to the wrench's very short-ranged melee attacks. Also, since I do occasionally get comments about it, Clank is a robot, so his hands are legally wrenches. That's how it works. With the rules set, let's immediately throw the game in the trash. When I was a tiny teenage baby, I made the unfortunate mistake of assuming the PlayStation 2 version with its fancy right analog stick would be the definitive version of the game. Unfortunately, during the porting process, the devs seem to have accidentally fixed some game-breaking glitches, which I wish I'd known about earlier so I could ask for a refund. Wrench only in the PlayStation 2 version will be much harder to complete, if not impossible. A short ways into the opening path, you'll come across a very simple first-person tutorial, requiring you to shoot a target up above. The target doesn't react to the wrench at all, so our only option is to bypass it. Back where we started, we can see a later chunk of level across the water, which seems like it might just barely be reachable. In the PS2 version, I tried making this jump for about half an hour, but Ratchet refused to land on the out-of-bounds wall. So instead, I bought and booted up the PSP version, where, for whatever reason, Ratchet's feet are now capable of existing out of bounds, letting us reach the other side and skip the earlier target. While it does make the run possible, the PSP version is unfortunately also suboptimal. Without a right analog stick, moving the camera is done with the L and R buttons. And since those two are now occupied, ducking is mapped to holding L and R simultaneously, and even when you do so, there's often a bit of delay. If you remember from prior games, throwing the wrench is done while ducking. The wrench throw in the PS2 version is already one of the worst wrench throws in this entire series, but here in the PSP version, it's so awkward and delayed, it's barely even viable as a combat option. Luckily, even if we're terrible at murder is already an inherently easy action. Most enemies stagger when hit by the wrench, meaning you'll always have enough time to get in, hit them, and escape in time to dodge their next attack. Even in groups, most enemies have long wait times on their attacks, so running in circles will keep you safe as you wait for opportunities to get a hit in. Plus, it might surprise you to hear this, but murder is actually sometimes entirely optional. In order to get this game over with as quickly as possible, walk past all the gameplay whenever you get the opportunity. To make combat go even more smoothly, once you complete the Wildfire armor set, you can wear it for a damage increase. This will be your only armor for the vast majority of this entire game, and by that I mean you'll be wearing it for about 2 hours. In this early boat ride, you're required to kill 2 robots floating in the way. They're too far to reliably hit with the wrench, but if you momentarily jump off the back of the boat, you can lure them over. The first boss, Mungo, is incredibly easy. Just throw your wrench at him after dodging each attack. However, do be warned that after the battle, you'll be haunted by a false deity. Got him. I can still hear my wrench spinning. Beautiful game design. After are a couple minigames. First, a destruction derby battle with Clank. This is just a little bit semantic-y, but I'm gonna say the saw blades are legally now Clank's hands, and thus also technically wrenches. This keeps the bonus challenge safe for about 2 minutes. Immediately after is a shmup section where you can actually swirl around in circles until reaching the boss, at which point firing our weaponry is the only option. The medical outpost features several turret minigames, making us protect Ratchet from enemies while a bar gradually fills. The bar actually continues filling if Ratchet gets hurt, so theoretically it might be possible to tank every hit without firing the turret. There's no way that's happening with my health as is, and the maximum health is only 50. Somebody in the Strem chat mentioned they tried it themselves and were only able to wait it out by literally cheating and manually raising Ratchet's health beyond the maximum. So it's safe to say firing the turrets is required. On Chalax, the Swarmer Technomites can get an electric charge, which makes you take damage on contact. I found them to be too difficult to fight normally in this cramped elevator battle, so instead I ran around in circles to stall for time. The elevator is actually moving the entire time and will eventually reach its destination whether you've killed anyone or not, so just hop off and don't look back. Immediately after is a boss fight against a dropship, which looks incredibly difficult, so I didn't even bother trying. Run over to the side of the arena, get a height boost from the enemy taxi, then jump and hover over to the other side. You should just barely be able to make it. Once you're over there, walk to the center and the next cutscene will trigger. You may have noticed I missed the armor piece, but don't worry, if you come back to this planet, you can perform the same trick a second time. Just be careful to use the right teleporter.
Ratchet? Ratchet?
On Dainy Moon, we meet what seems to be the first roadblock. The path forward is blocked, and apparently the only way to unblock it is to kill a sniper far off in the distance. The wrench definitely isn't reaching that far, and neither am I, so our only option is shenanigans. The gate blocking the way can be wall jumped on, there seems to be an opening at the upper right, and there's a rock we can hover over up on the right side. We can't actually stand up there, and Ratchet will automatically stop hovering when we reach a certain point on the rock, but after a few minutes of majiggering, I managed to get as close as possible, hyper strike, and land out of bounds where we can jump back in on the other side. From here, you can continue the level as intended. The next roadblock is at the end of Dainy Moon, the boss fight against Luna. The Wildfire armor set got us this far, but trust me, it's time for an upgrade. I went back to all the prior minigames I skipped to obtain all the armor pieces I could get my hands on. One important note, I wasn't able to get a few of them. They're locked behind minigames that I failed to find a sufficiently semantic-y reason to pretend don't break the rules. Without them, we don't have any good set bonuses for Luna, so I instead opted for the combination that gave the highest total defense. The safest and most reliable way to hit Luna is to hyper strike as she charges toward you. If timed right, you'll just barely dodge while dealing a small amount of damage. She does this and another easily dodged attack until phase 2, when she adds on poison bombs. While Ratchet is moving, these land semi-randomly and are very difficult to dodge, but while Ratchet is standing still, they always target him directly. With the right timing, you can lure Luna into firing directly at you and slightly sidestep out of the way until the entire volley is over. Since you can only hit her a single time when she randomly uses one of her 3 attacks, this will be a long endurance battle, but each attack is easy enough to dodge, and the defense buff will let you tank more than enough hits. After Luna, we head into the final few areas of the game. Since the defense buff isn't as important, I experimented with my new armor sets and found the Wild Burst combo to be particularly useful. Each Hyper Strike leaves behind a bubble that poisons foes, explodes, and leaves behind damaging goo on the floor. With Wild Burst, you don't have to fight enemies directly, just Hyper Strike the ground in front of you and keep running as the horde behind gradually thins out. In this room, you're supposed to kill multiple waves of enemies before riding the elevator up yourself. I thought I could do some shenanigans and ride the elevator up early after the first wave, but the devs were up to shenanigans of their own. Of course, the elevator won't move if you're standing on it, but even if you jump on it mid-movement, it immediately stops itself. No cheese allowed. Cheese is, however, absolutely allowed and heavily encouraged in this room of Ratchet clones, including a bunch of blaster Ratchets, which are probably the most dangerous enemy in the game. Just running straight for the grind lock isn't usually good enough, since the Ratchets are too fast and will interrupt you. To give yourself the maximum time, do a helicopter jump at the edge of the platform and glide down. The clones are only capable of noticing you when your feet touch the ground, so with enough speed, you'll escape into the safety of the grind lock, skipping the battle, and as an added bonus, being gifted with the true sound of God's voice.
Yeah! I think my grind sound is glitched. Oh! Oh my god, it's still going!
Just before the final boss is a battle for survival against an army of Ratchet clones. This seems difficult at first until you realize the timer at the top isn't counting down to your loss, it's counting down to your win, and killing Ratchets is entirely pointless. Additionally, only 4 clones are allowed to exist simultaneously. Kill the first few so all 4 slots are taken up by the brawny Ratchets. They move extremely slowly and only have a low-range attack, letting you survive this battle to the death in the least climactic way possible. During the giant Clank portion of the auto-destruct boss fight, we're limited to only Clank's melee attack, which turns out is actually easier than using your guns. I guess the devs never expected anybody to bother. When doing 2-hit combos, he likes to just stand in place and take all the hits, and if you get him locked in a corner, he just sorta gives up. In the final segment, the Wild Burst continues to be our best damage dealer, but it comes at a huge cost. Its defense is so low, auto will kill us in 1 hit. I decided this is still worth it in Phase 1. The damage is just that good. He always tries to back away from you, so with careful movement you can corral him within a small area at the arena's edge. Keep planting explosive bubbles there and he'll start taking ridiculous amounts of damage, with every damage source stacking on top of each other simultaneously. Once he enters Phase 2, this is no longer viable, since his attacks are too difficult to dodge at close range. Swap your armor out for the Firebomb combo. We now have enough defense to take at least a couple hits, and on top of that we'll send a high-power Fireball out with the final swing of our 3-hit wrench combo. This takes a long time to pull off, so stay far away from auto and concentrate on dodging. Immediately after either the hand attack or missile attack, you'll have just barely enough time to launch the Fireball and jump out of the way at the next one. Land about a dozen fireballs to finally make a pre-rendered cutscene play and allow the grind rail to complete its duty and rest for when the world needs its power once again. With the dumb spin-off I hate finally concluding and freeing me from my self-imposed obligations, the Ratchet & Clank Size Matters Wrench-Only Run is mission complete. Special thanks to all Patreon backers, including All the Bugs Yugi Has Killed, Andrew Cyber, Anon42, RB Drock, Solon Zero, Leslam, Chris Nate, Alexander Botkin, Anu Akrira, David 20 Covers, Vincent Hall, Alex Nelson, Lively Leader, The Quacky Gamer, Luminescent Dragon, Jay Snilges, Praetor, Vaith, Rory Kelly, Lane Robert Leishman, Liddy Kitty, Jace Harsh, Crustacean Creep, Queen Sapphire, Plum Sweater, Procrastinating Destiny, Epic Evan 921, Alex Likes to Eat Yield Foreign, Rundum Goy, Misfunctional, Cam the Can 1, Nathaniel Galita, Alistair Echoes. On this day, June 26, 2021, I have constructed the Communist War Machine. Zoe, Multicore, Aaron Bailey, The Green Scorpion, Game Champ says trans rights are human rights, Xander Kozak, Celestial Cookie, 8-Bit Mischievous, Boomboxy, John Miller, Curbsteve50, Jorb, Damien R, Yop Alonzo, Wave It, World's Slowest Game of Chess, playing D4 like my life depends on it, Star Captain Eli Shaba of Clan Ghost Bear, Chronosanthium, Toro25, Blue Moon Fun Idaho, Britface, The Nonchalant Nacho, Bragger Jester, Kid, Very Gucci, Wispy Syrup, Riley Anderson, Arcombs, Neptunian Baby, Salty Sweet, Slowest Game of Chess, 2, D4, D5, Pre-Moving, EXD5, a few EXD5. Officer Slard, what's that noise? Her name is Game Bad at Video Games, but beat Pokemon without getting hit Champ San. Nova, Sinique says hashtag Landback, Sulfuric Boss, Fabi, Zith Uggle, mark my words Game Champ, I will find a way to get you to pronounce my name correctly like Zith Uggle. Zandragon, Eric Barron, Zero, Mars Becker, XZY, Greg Campbell, Nicky Wiki 34, Fyra, Shadowfire 638, Silktoid, IB Mackey, drawn by AJ2, the return of the haha funny meme name, Amphizen, Admiral Ampersand, Literal Cat, Sylvie Wing Catgirl is gay and doesn't go to bed on time. Reblog if you too are gay and or don't go to bed on time. Eve Weaver Cable, I think it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody and their stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Flip Chicken, Matthew Elliott, Handy Capable, Sound of Rain, Ryan Garvey, Milk Succubus, Arcade, Grand Nero. I think the person 2 spaces below me likes jazz, but the main question here is, do you like jazz? How much could woulda could chuck chuck if a could chuck would chuck could? Game Champ Milady, it ain't Rachetto Ando Kuranku, Feibu Jinja no Miri Miri Gundam. I reckon it's Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. I have no nose and I must sneeze. Fireblade 974, literally Judas, now I only want to triumph. Norahana. According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat lit. Beam Animate, Charles Custer Agorad, The Insane One, Nathan Riddle, Maria, Zebras 11, Noah Webster, Sorio 99, Jack Silverson, Dakota Riggs, Ankylosaurus was so heavily armored it even had armored eyelids. Infamous Peace, Miles Edgelord, Trish Chandler, Airtide, Mackenzie Trees, Lily Sap, Sin Parks, Colin Monsma, Dark Knight, pronounced like the DC hero, Tea Coffee, Champ doesn't like to say Funzy Runzy, Lidak. Please stop making such long names. I have sworn never to breathe in until the list of Patreon backers is finished, and I need oxygen. Carlo Calcitera, Brisky, Dr. Feed, Margaret Josephine, Brandon Weller, friendly reminder that it's not normal to sneeze. I have never sneezed. F. Amadon, Release Idola LP4, T. Brunelli 200, Quiet Mischievous, Pugmaster, Leverage, High Princess Aranus, Pixel G, Nitsua Gamer, Nitsa Gamer, Lemon Planter, Gubrius, and Fluff System. Let me know how much Size Matters sucks and how it can be improved in the comments below. All praise the sick grind and get out of my house.